right, everybody, thank you for coming to my channel. This is a tutorial for my Amber Leaves and Eerie Things album. I did a walkthrough already, and I'll link that into the description box. So I'm going to give you the tutorial. As I go, I probably would do my pattern paper before I attach things to the book. I think that would be easier, but I'm not going to, so that I can get through the tutorial. Like I said, you can take a look at the walkthrough on the another video that I did. I'm a little bit late getting this out, so I apologize. I will go ahead and give you measurements as I use them. Because I teach and I have a job, I don't type them up in the description box, and I know some people like that, but unfortunately I don't have the time, so hopefully this will work. Now, the actual album cover is 8 by 8. And the spine, help me remember, is 2 inches. So I have a video that shows how to do the lay flat method. And so I will also link that if you're not familiar. I will give you the measurements right now, though, in case you want to get that started. So like I said, the 2 chipboard pieces are 8 by 8, and the spine piece is 2 by 8, okay? So when you wrap the front and back cover, you need 10 by 10 for your matte paper. So you'll need 2 pieces that are 10 by 10, fully wrap the front and back. The spine piece, that's 2 inches. We go 1.5 inches extra on that. So it is actually going to be a 5 by 10 inch piece. Okay, so 5. You always want 1 inch on the height. And the inside piece here to cover it, I think I ended up going with 5.5 or 6. I went with 5 1/4 actually. So then the paper that I used to cover the inside spine was 5 1/4 by 7 7/8. Okay, so I will refer you to that previous video I made, and I will actually start with the page construction. So let me just show you real quick what we'll start with. We are going to start with the left-hand side. And so, you know what? I better give myself a pencil to remember I need seam binding. I'll forget. We just have a flap, and then this one opens up here. These are just mats for pictures, okay? Then this lifts to the left, and you have a mat here. This moves to the right, you have the mat here, and then you have a double layer pocket, okay? So that is how that works, and that's what we're gonna work on first. And you can see that we have a seam binding closure on the right-hand side. Okay, so let's start with that. I just love that paper. So let's start with the base piece of the right-hand side, okay? So this is the back cover that we'll attach it to. You're going to want a piece that's 9 1/4 by 7 3/4, and a second piece that is 9 by 7 3/4. So there's only a 1/4 of an inch difference, because when we fold the pages on top of one another, we don't want them to get messed up and bump into the other one. And so that's why it's a 1/4 of an inch shorter, okay? So those are the measurements for the actual cover. I'll go ahead and give you the rest of the measurements just so you can have your things cut and ready. For that front flap you saw, that is 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. You'll only need 1 of those. So hopefully you have a paper and pen nearby that you can jot these measurements down, or freeze the video and record or jot everything down. Okay, so then remember we had an extra page that opened to the left and right. So you're going to need 1 piece that is 8 by 7 3/4. And one that is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. Excuse me. And I'll have you cut a couple more things. The pocket on the back cover on the inside. It's a layered pocket. These look like they're different colors, but you'll never know when I put paper on them. You're going to need one that's 8 5/8 by 4 1/2. And one that is 8 5/8 by 3. Okay, we're almost done with the right-hand side cutting. The next part is, I like to reinforce. I have a 3/4 of an inch gusset, or a 3/4 of an inch gusset. And because it is cardstock and I'm layering paper on top, I want it to be more firm. So I wrap thin chipboard. So you'll want 2 pieces of the thin chipboard. Okay. And I went ahead and put my score tape on the back. These are 1 1/4 by 8 1/4. Is that right? Nope, that's the paper. Nope, that's a lie. This is 3/4. I'm sorry, I didn't write that down. The chipboard is 3/4 by 7 5/8. Let me say that again. Here, let me write it on here. It is 3/4 of an inch by 7 5/8, and you're going to want 2 of those. And the paper to cover it then is 1 1/4 by 8 1/4. You don't need much because it's so skinny, so I just did a little bit of a overhang here. Okay, so we're going to start with that. That is all going to be on the right hand side on the back cover. So now I'll do your scoring with you. And I have pre-scored just to help myself remember. So, all right. So the first piece that I'm working with is my 9 inch by 7 3/4 inch. Place your 9 inches across the top, and you're going to make 2 score marks, one at 3/4 and one at 1 1/2. So we're going to attach this to the book with a 3/4 inch piece instead of half. And then we have that 3/4 of an inch gusset. Okay. You know what? I think I lied to you again. Because I didn't write down the size of the chipboard, I'm thinking it might be 5/8. Because if it's 3/4, that's going to be... Yeah, I think I went with 5/8. I'm so sorry. But at least you cut it too big and not too small. So it's not 3/4, it's 5/8. So that we don't have any overhang. Sorry about that. Here I thought I was so prepared. Okay, so let me go over this one more time. 9 inches across the top. We scored at 3/4, 1 1/2. We will do that same scoring then with our 9 1/4 inch piece. So put your 9 1/4 inches across the top, score at 3/4 and 1 1/2, just like you did the first one. Okay, so those are the base flaps, I'll call those. Now find the 2 pieces that are 8 by 7 3/4. And one that is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. Okay, let's start with the longer piece. So this is my 8 inch piece. The 8 inches is across the top of my scoreboard, and I'm just scoring at 1/2. That's it. You'll do the same thing then with the 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. You just do 1 score at 1/2. The flap that you cut, that was 4 5/8 by 6 5/8, place your 4 5/8 inches across the top, and you're going to score at 1/2. I had to check, I didn't know if I was recording. Okay, and then the pockets. So this one is the 4 1/2 inch piece. So it's 8 5/8 inches long, 4 1/2 inches tall here. This is going to be a base pocket. So we have 3 score marks. So with the 8 5/8 inches across the top, you're going to score at 1/2. Rotate it 1 time. So now my 4 1/2 inches is across the top. Score at 1/2. Rotate it 1 more time. Score at 1/2. Okay, so that's going to make a pocket. Now, the layered pocket, I don't like to have a lot of bulk. So we're going to do this one a little bit different. So this is 8 5/8 by 3. What I want you to do is put the long 8 5/8 inches across the top of your scoreboard. You're going to score at 1/2 on each end. Okay. Now, with your 1/2 inches on the end, I need to make a 1 inch mark so that I know how to attach it or have it slide in to our base pocket. So what I like to do then is place the 3 inches across the top, and I'm just going to use my scoring tool, and I just make a little indentation at 1 inch up to the score so that I know where I'm going to cut. Turn it upside down, scoot it over to the other end, and score at 11 inches. Okay, So I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but I have a 1/2 inch, and then I went up 1 inch and put just a little score there. All right, so as we go, remember you might want to put some paper on before we attach it to the book. I'm trying to think of what else I need to tell you before I get started. The chipboard pieces, we're not going to really score anything yet. We'll just wait until we have the rest of it put together, and I'll show you how to do those. All right, so now it's time to do our burnishing. So I'm starting, you can do this with all your pages. Just go ahead and grab them, and except for that last pocket we did, we're just going to go ahead and burnish the score marks we made. And on this piece, that 9 1/4 and the 9 inch long, I am going to miter that outside 3/4 inch at the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to take a slight slice at an angle off the end. Okay. So it's going to look like so. And just so you know, this right here is where we will put that lightweight chipboard. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and burnish the one that is 9 inches by 7 3/4. And again, I am going to miter that outside 3/4 of an inch at the top and the bottom, lightly take off an angled triangle. Okay. And then the other chipboard piece will go inside of there. So it's going to look like so. Yes, you can see a little bit of this. That's totally fine. So that you know, first of all, that it flips open. And second of all, so that you avoid smashing your pages. Okay, the flap, I'm going to go ahead and burnish. Now, really, you only need to miter the top, because this is going to go to the top of the page and we don't want anything hanging over. However, if we're mitering the top, we might as well miter the bottom just to stay consistent. Okay. And I like to clean up as I go. I don't like messes. Okay, now I'm working with the 8 inch piece and the 7 3/4 inch piece. Again, burnish and miter. Slight angle cut just on that 1/2 inch piece, slight angle cut. Same with the next one, miter. You don't have to do it a lot, just enough so that you don't have any paper sticking up over the top of your book. That would not be good. Okay. Pockets are next. Let's do the larger one first. This is the one that's 4 1/2 inches that we scored on 3 sides. So when we do our pocket, we miter the top 1/2 inch. Okay. The squares at the bottom where the score lines intersect, we're going to cut out that square at an angle. There we go. Right to the corner. Now I'll go ahead and burnish. I'll see if I have to do any adjusting with my angle cuts that were at the bottom. Nope, it looks good. They meet each other. That one hangs over here, but it's going to be okay. Okay, so there's a pocket. Now this last one, let's go ahead and burnish the 1/2 inches that we did on either end. Okay, now where we put that 1 inch tick mark, we are going to cut over to the score line and then down at an angle. And this actually slides in then to our base pocket. So Here's my tick mark. I'm going to go straight as you can go to that score mark. That's not as straight as I want to. Okay. And then angle cut down to the bottom. Okay, so it looks like that. Same to the other side. Straight across on the score, as straight as you can. And then angle cut down to the bottom to get it out of there. I am going to go ahead and miter the top, not the bottom. Don't miter the bottom. Okay. It goes much faster when I have everything pre-cut. So that saves time on the video. That's awesome. Okay, so I've already wrapped one piece of the lightweight chipboard. Remember, it is 5/8 by 7 5/8. Okay, so if you actually did the 3/4, like I said in the beginning, shave a little off. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to place this in the center of our 1 1/4 by 8 1/4 inch piece of paper. So I'm going to take off the backing. And I'm eyeballing this. I'm trying to center it so I have the same amount of space above, below, and end to end. And if it's not perfect, I promise you it'll still be fine. All right, so we might as well wrap this while we're at it. So with lightweight chipboard, you have to be a little bit more careful. So as we bring the chipboard piece up and over so that the paper goes around it, remember, be gentle because it is more flexible than regular chipboard. And then as I bring it over, I want to burnish that. Okay, so I have that. I'm going to do the same thing to the other long side. Bring it up and over, being gentle. And then I'm going to burnish that. The short ends, up and over, and burnish. And obviously you'll do this to both of your pieces of lightweight chipboard. Now I am going to get 2 little clips so that when I glue the ends, I can place a clip on there just to kind of make sure that it stays where it needs to be. So just like I do the other ones, I miter cut. If you are somebody who cuts out the square, go for it. That would mean you cut up and over to the corner of the chipboard. I am angling mine on all 4 sides. So that doesn't give us a whole lot. That's why I need to make sure that I have my clips so that it doesn't go anywhere. So normally I use some score tape when I put, like when I do spine pieces. Because this is so small and so thin, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use glue. So I'm going to have something nearby in case some glue oozes out. Okay. And where is that? My clips and my dirty black rag. There it is. Okay. I need to wash my... Okay. So let's go ahead and put glue on one of the long sides. And I am placing 1 line of glue up against the chipboard. Don't do a ton. And then a light amount on the paper from one side to the other. And I'm going to bring that over, push it down, kind of give it a second so that it sticks. And then I'm going to get my cloth and wipe up the excess. And I'm just going to make sure it gets a good burnish so it's on there real well. Okay, time to do the other side the same way, the long side. I'm putting some glue up against the chipboard and then a light amount on the paper. Bringing it up and over. Kind of giving it some time to adhere and just stick before I move my hands off of it. Burnish it so that you know it's adhering. All right, so because I angle cut mine, sometimes I do have to tuck in the corners. I pretty much went to the corner, so this one is, I don't need to do anything. And this is gonna come up and over. Okay, so I'm gonna get my glue. You don't need a whole lot. There's not a lot of space here. Bring that over. So I'm squeezing it and glue comes out, which is kind of good because you want to make sure that it stays sealed. So when you know it's coming out at the ends, you know that it's getting plenty of glue and it's going to stay down. So then I'm just going to go ahead and put my clip on there just to make sure. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other end. And it doesn't look like I need to do anything. Wow, that worked out good. Okay, so now let's seal that opposite end. And I'm just going to set that off to the side. Do that to both. Wrap both pieces of your chipboard. All right. All right, I said I needed to write myself a note, and I do, because I don't want to forget to put on my seam binding for the closure of the flaps. So this one, okay, the long one is going to go to the left. All right, let's find our 9-inch pieces. Okay, I have the longer one on the left. So on the left, I have the 9 1/4. On the right, I have the 9 by 7 3/4. So here's where I'm going to write myself a little note. Right here, I'm going to need seam binding. So I'm just going to put an S. This is on the shorter piece. And the other piece of seam binding is going to go, remember, it's not going to be, you're going to see a little bit, when we put it to the book, there's going to be a little bit of space. And the second piece of seam binding will be on that long piece. So S and S, just so I don't forget. So to help it stay sturdy while we're working with it, I am going to go ahead now and glue those pieces of chipboard that I just covered that I can't see right now. Here they are. So I'm going to place glue on the back side, and I'm going to lay it inside of my book. And I need to make sure that it's not too long and not too fat. So you should be able to bring up the side without any buckling. And you should not see any of your chipboard hanging off the edge. So mine is just like right exactly at the top and the bottom. Okay, so that should be fine for me. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. This is for stability of those flaps. Okay. It goes on the section that we did not miter. And before I push down, again, I want to make sure I can bring up the 3/4 inch and bring it over. And it's going to be perfect now. Okay, so now I can burnish it. If you have glue coming out, you know the drill. Go ahead and wipe that up. It does dry clear, but you always want to get rid of any excess. Now I am using the Craft from Country Craft Creations. Okay, so there's one side, so you can see it's nice and straight and smooth. And now on the shorter piece, we'll do the same thing. Let's glue in that other piece of lightweight chipboard. I'm gonna do a dry fit first. And I think I'm lucky and it's gonna be fine. And that's why I had to go to 5/8, because by the time you wrap it, it does add some thickness and you don't want that bulk to get in the way of your flaps being able to open and close properly. Don't want to go over the score marks. Okay, that looks good. I don't have a whole lot of glue coming out on that one, but I got a little bit. Okay. So that makes it more sturdy. So next, I am going to attach, I have to double check my book. Oh yeah, it opens up. Oh, I forgot to show you that it opens up. Oh, you guys, I totally forgot to show you. Hold on. Didn't even open it all the way for you. So we have the base, and then I showed you this flap, and then this opens, and then this opens. So you have 3 good places for pictures. So you have 3 panels. And then when you open it again, you have 3 panels. I think I forgot to open it one time. Okay. So the next pieces we'll work with are the 8 and 7 3/4 piece and the 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. And we're going to glue the longer one, the one that's 8 by 7 3/4. That's going to get glued to the the left-hand side. And it should go all the way to the edge, like so. And then the other one that measured 7 3/4 by 7 3/4 is going to go on this piece right here on the left. So before I go any further, because I'm going to be covering up the S on the right-hand side, I need to put my seam binding. If that's how you're going to do it. You can use magnets if you have magnets. So I kind of need to decide what paper I'm going to do this one in. I think I'll need a beige color. I think I'll use, let's see what I've got in here. Yes, this is what I'll use. It's way more than I need. I'll have to trim it. Dang, that's a lot more than I thought. Okay, I've already scrunched mine up. I like that look. That's a lot. I didn't scrunch it up. Somebody gave it to me as a gift and they had already scrunched it up. So I'm assuming that I'm going to want probably 7, 8 inches. Actually, this one's 10, but it's curled up. So I'll go ahead and cut it at, I'd rather have too much than not enough. Let's go 10 or 11 inches with the seam binding of your choice. And when I attach this, I want to center it. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this flat. I'm going to get my centering ruler. And I don't remember how tall this is, 7 3/4, I think. So you should have about 3 3/4 on each end. So there's my little tally. So I know where the center is. I like to put a line of glue where I'm going to lay down my seam binding. And kind of hold it there for a little bit. And I do also put a piece or two of score tape on there. So let me make sure this is ready before okay, I don't like that little piece hanging up. Okay, so I'm just gonna get 1/4 inch score tape. And I'm gonna place it here so this lays down. And I'm gonna do one more just for security purposes so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. So then it'll be easy to tell where to attach the next piece of seam binding, and we'll do that in a minute. Okay. All right. So again, I have my right-hand side piece. We're working with the piece that is this 7 3/4? No, that one's the 8-inch piece. There we go. That one's 7 3/4. And that one is going to go to the right. And it's going to go all the way to the edge. And we want to make sure that it's lined up with the other piece. So what I need to do is take off the backing of my score tape, put glue on the 1/2 inch for my flap, and again, I'm pushing my book all the way down so it's easier for me to attach the flap. And I'm going to go all the way to the edge. And before I push down too much, just want to make sure that it lines up on the sides here. So then let's just go ahead and open that back up and give it a burnish on the inside. Make sure it's not sticking. Ugh, mine is. What did I do? Hold on. Oh, I almost took the wrong piece off. Ugh, it's sticking. That's because of the score tape. I put it up too high. Let me do this. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So there is our right-hand piece. Left-hand piece. The spine is to the left. I'm going to attach my flap to the left-hand side where that piece of chipboard is on the gusset, like so. And it should be about the same exact length as your bottom page, okay? We don't have to put this seam binding on quite yet because we're not covering it with this flap. I am going to turn it sideways and I am going to flatten it so I can attach this easier. All the way to the end here. And mine is not lined up. I got to move it a little bit. And I'm giving that a good burnish. Got a little excess glue coming out. Okay, so that's what we have for the left. Now it's time to attach the flap. That's 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. And that's going to go all the way to the, did I put mine at the top or did I center it? I actually centered mine. So I'm going to eyeball it. I'm not going to measure, but if that bothers you, you can get your centering ruler. I'm just going to eyeball the center and glue it to the edge. So again, I'm going to make that flat. I'm going to put glue on the 1/2 inch piece. I think I'm getting my books confused. I did another book just recently and I put it to the top, so that's why. Okay, before I push down, I'm just going to make sure that I have it pretty much centered. I'm going all the way to the edge. Looks like I need to move it up a hair. And I think that's going to work for me. All right. Nice. So we cannot put our pockets on the book until we attach our flaps here. So this 3/4 inch is going to go up to the spine, but not over. Okay, and we want to center it top and bottom because our page is a little bit shorter. It's 1/4 of an inch shorter than the height of our book. Okay, so that's what mine is going to be like. So I'm going to put glue on this 3/4 inch strip. And I always like to turn it sideways so I can see it better. And I'm pressing down so I just can see the 3/4 inch. I can see the chipboard piece. I've flattened it out a little bit. And I gotta make sure that it's even, and by golly, I think it is. So now I'm going to wipe up any excess glue. I'm going to go ahead and open up the page and make sure it's burnished real well. Okay, so that gives it a little bit of stability so it stays up better. And now we will attach the other side, the one that has the seam binding. And this is going to go all the way to, I'm going to open this. This is going to go all the way to the edge. And we just want to make sure that it lines up with what we've already put down. Okay. So let me put glue on the 3/4 inch. Get that back up there. I'm going all the way to the edge, and I am going to check to make sure it lines up before I lay it down tightly. Nope, it's too... That should work. So I can lift this back up and burnish that. Yeah, my craft, I must be using 2 different packages because it's different. Okay, so you can have it like this, and then this, and then open twice. I like to do every other one, but I want the left to be on the top, okay? Like so. Now, for the seam binding, I think I put my S in the wrong spot. I'm going to put it on this top piece to match this one so I can tie it. I think I put it my S in the wrong spot. So I'm going to cut another piece so I don't forget. Again, about 11-ish inches. And I'm going to line it up with the seam binding that is already there, so I don't have to measure and find the center. Trying to flatten this out being as it's been crinkled. Okay. All right, so line it up with the one that's already placed. Give it a chance to stick and to dry a little bit. And then I'm going to get my seam or my score tape. And I am going to get one more. Just don't want it going anywhere. And we can leave the backing on until we are ready to put on our pattern paper. Okay, so if you liked the way I decorated the other one, please just go back and look at the walkthrough. I don't always do the decorating on videos because everybody has their own style. It would take me forever. My videos would be 3 hours probably or more. Okay, so left, right, left, right. And then these two will tie so that the flap stays closed. Okay, I think we're ready to put the pockets on that are on the inside. Okay, so we're going to start with the pocket that was 4.5 inches tall that had the scoring on 3 sides. And before we do anything, we do want to make sure that it fits in between without going over. We don't want it to get stuck on the flaps. So mine works. And I also want the pocket to line up with the page. So I will not go all the way to the bottom. Okay, I want it to line up with my pages. So let's put some glue on there on the 3 1/2 inch sides. And down here. Okay. Pinch in those sides. Don't go over any scores. And I think that's about even. So I can see some excess paper down here from my combining my covers. So I will probably have something down at the bottom that will cover that, whether it's paper, some sort of trim, lace, because I don't like to see that hanging out the bottom. So I'll fix it when I do the decorating on this one. Okay, so there's our first pocket. So now the second pocket slides down into the first one, and it should stop where we cut it that 1 inch so that it should be level. Okay, so then you only put glue on the 1/2 inch pieces, nothing else. Pinch in those sides, slide it down under, line it up as close as you can. And when it looks lined up, burnish it down. So now that pocket will go all the way down, and this one up here goes all the way down, so you can put long mats in there. Right, left, right, left. And I am going to tie this so that as I'm working on the other side, I don't have these flapping around. I'll probably have to trim my, a lot. I'm gonna have to trim the seam binding. I cut way too long, but that's okay. All right, so there is our right-hand side. Now, this one you can do a magnet if you want, but by the time I put my pattern paper on, and if I put something heavy, like either a flower or metal piece or whatever, it will stay down. Just so no worries there, okay? And then when you put the paper on and put the things in the pocket, this will lift up a little bit more too. All right, so now let me get some stuff out of the way. Let me show you on the left-hand side, we have 2 of these features where you have the pull tab for the waterfall. Then it lifts up. This is plain, I just did some piecing. Then we have these angled pockets. Okay. And then you lift up again and you have another one of those features. Okay. And I get stuck. All right, so here we go with the left-hand side. So I would like to start with the waterfall. Now I've already made one, so I'll make one with you. And I actually use score tape when I do this, just to make sure that it stays nice and doesn't get messy. So this is what it looks like before we do any pattern paper. Okay, you'll notice there's a little band down here, and we have something tucked underneath of it. And everything's lined up. It's kind of hard to show you when it's not attached to a book. Okay, so here we go. Measurements for the waterfall. So we're doing 2 of these. So that's why you need 10 of them that are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we place the mats down the long way so that 6 1/4 wide, 4 1/4 tall. 10 of them. You need 5 per waterfall. You'll need 2 bases. These are 5 by 12, so 1 for each waterfall. And then 2 pieces that are 1 by 7 1/4. And that's for that band on the back. You do no scoring on the mats. But we are going to do some scoring on the base piece. That's 5 by 12. And we're going to do scoring on that 1-inch piece. Let's do this easy one. So we're putting the 7 1/4 inches across the top. And we're going to score it half. And at 6 3/4. Basically 1/2 on each end. Okay, place your 5 by 12 piece in your scoreboard with the 12 inches across the top. And we're going to start at 7 and go to 9. And we are going in 1/2 inch increments. So we're going to start at 7, 7 1/2. This is thicker paper, so I'm going over it a couple times. 8, 8 1/2, and 9. 7, 7 1/2, 8, 8 1/2, 9. So let's burnish the 5-inch piece. Make sure that when you burnish it that your sides are lining up, so that if they don't, you can do some adjusting. Now, because this feature, you have that pull tab, you want it to move, have a smooth mechanism. So after we have burnished it this way, turn it over and we're going to burnish it the other way also to loosen up those fibers so that the pages will flip easily. Okay, so now it's very flexible. Next, we are going to put some score tape. I'm going to use the 3/8 inch, not the 4th. And my first score line, so the long piece is up at the top, the short piece is toward me. I'm going to put my first piece of score tape underneath that first score mark that I made. Under it. From one end to the other without going over that score mark. And then I'm going to continue putting the score tape on in between the score marks the rest of the way up. And again, I'm not using 1/4. I wanted better stick than that, so I'm doing 3/8 of an inch. And last one. So you end up putting 5 pieces of score tape on there. Okay, let's move that off to the side. You should have your 5 pieces that are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, and your 1-inch piece. And we did score the ends, so let's go ahead and burnish those little 1/2-inch pieces. Grab one of your mats, and we're going to glue the 1/2-inch pieces so that this little band is at the bottom. Let me get my scissors out of the way here. Sorry. I am going to use wet glue for that. So 1/2 inch. I should have done a dry fit, but I didn't. Put glue on each end. I'm going all the way to the bottom and to the left, and on the bottom to the right. Now you won't see this band because this is now basically the back. Okay, and you don't even see that it has a band. So do that for both of your waterfalls. And now we're going to attach those pages. So we're going to start with the one that we just had in our hand that has the 1/2 inch or the 1-inch strip on the bottom. And that's going to go to the underneath side, bottom. I'm going to open this up, and we're going to put this on the top of this score tape, and I want it centered. So the base is 5 inches, so I need to make a tick mark at 2 1/2, and I'm just going to put that right. Okay, and then I need to find the center of my 6 1/4 inch piece, which is 3 1/8. And I'll put a tick mark on the 3 1/8. So now I know where to line them up. I'm taking the backing off of the bottom piece of score tape, and I want to line up my tick marks, and I want this paper to go up to the score but not over. So actually I'm going to turn it sideways. It's just easier for me. And before I push down, I just want to make sure I have it in the right spot. And then I do want to get rid of that mark. Now we don't have to find the center for the rest. We'll just line them up with this piece. So again, for some reason, I like to have mine sideways. We'll go to the next piece. We want to go up to the score, but not over, and we want to make sure that our pages are lined up. So I'm going to kind of eyeball it. Oh, nope, I'm over the score. I'm going to do this. I'm going to use my scoreboard on the side here to help me line it up. Next one, take the backing off. I'm bumping it up against the side of my scoreboard so I can line these up properly. I don't want to go over that score mark. Two to go. Okay, the last one, fold the top down so you just see that piece of tape. Take off the backing, and we want to make sure we go all the way to the top so that we don't see the score mark. We want to make sure that it covers that. So again, sideways, use my scoreboard. I'm taking it all the way to the top. Oopsie. That's a lie. I'm going to have to look at it this way. Okay, so you should have everything lined up on both sides. Let me get rid of my mess. Turn it over and take the back long flap and stick it underneath that 1-inch band. And there you go. Now, when you glue it to your book, you don't put glue on the whole thing. That won't work. The only place you put glue is on this 1-inch band and attach it to your book. So I would do my pattern paper first before I attach it if I were you. I would take this out, put your pattern paper on here, then tuck it underneath, and then do the tops. I did not put paper on the top. I just did mine on the bottom here. I figured it might add too much bulk, and I'll probably add pictures. Okay, so you should have 2 of those. Pretty slick. Okay, go ahead and let's go ahead and do the piece that is 7 7/8 by 8 5/8. You should have 2 of those. And we're going to score those. Place the 8 5/8 inches across the top. And we have 2 score marks. We're going to start with a 1/2. And we do need a little bit of a gusset because it's going to be sitting on top of the waterfall. So then you're also going to score at 3/4. 1/2 and 3/4 on the 8 5/8 was across the top. Next piece, do the same thing, please. 8 5/8 inches across the top. Score at 1/2 and at 3/4. We'll burnish those in a minute. So last are the angled pockets. I tried to make this easy. Hopefully this will be easy for you because there's less cutting. Go ahead and cut out 4 that are 4 1/4 by 12. 4 1/4 by 12. Okay, this is how we're going to score all 4 of them. And then we have to do some weird folding. Place the what do you call it? Did I say 12? I'm a liar. This is 11 1/2. Oh, I even wrote it wrong. Yikes. Again, better too long than not long enough. So it's not by 12, it's by 11 1/2. My mistake. Okay, so I actually have the 11 1/2 inches across the top. I'm going to score at 1/2. I'm going to score at 6. Okay, that was 1/2 and 11 1/2. Turn it so that the 4 1/4 is across the top. Score at 1/2. So let's do the scoring of all of these first. 4 1/4 across the top, or excuse me, 11 1/2 across the top, 1/2, and 6. Rotate it so that your 4 1/4 is across the top. Score at 1/2. 2 more. Now there's other ways you can do this one, so you don't have to do it this way when you do your angled pockets, but this is what worked for me. I gotta do this one. Half, 6. Turn it half. I will burnish the large pieces, and I will miter. Miter the 1/2 inch, not that little 1/4 inch gusset. Leave that intact. Okay, so you can see we have a little gusset. I'll do that with the other one too. So burnish first. Miter that 1/2 inch. Okie dokie. So the first thing I want you to do is to grab a pocket, and there is a square in the corner that we need to cut out at an angle, like so. I'm going to cut where that line is in the center. I'm just going to make a angled cut on either side of it. And I'm going to do that to all 4 to get them ready. That way I won't forget anything. Cut out the square in the corner. Cut a triangle out basically at the center square mark. Don't worry about any burnishing yet, because remember we have to have 2 on each side of our book, so we do have to fold 2 of them one way and 2 of them a different way. Angle cut at the 6 inch. Take out the square. All right, so what I want you to do is to place 2 of these with the 1/2 inch on the left, 2 of them with the 1/2 inch on the right. And it does not matter if you scored it the opposite way. That does not make any difference. So I have 2 of my 1/2 inches on the right, 2 on the left. Okay, let's work with the left-hand side pieces first. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do our burnishing. It's not lined up very well. Okay. Give me a second. I have to think. I'm going to cut off the strip, that 1/2 inch strip that's near the 1/2 inch on the left. And I don't want any of the bump to show, so you can put it in your cutter if that helps you to stay straight. I don't know if this cutter will work because it's small. No, hold on. I don't cut very straight, So I am going to cut down until I get to that little triangle. So I have to watch it carefully. I'm going to put that 1/2 inch in the cutting channel. I have to have good eyes for this, and I'm not so sure that I do. Ugh. Maybe I should just cut it. Okay, and then I'm going to slice slowly. Okay, until I get to that center. And I did get rid of the ridge, so that's good. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Let's angle cut the bottom right. Let's angle cut the mitering of the top there. Okay, so you're going to have 2 of them that look like this. You're going to do 2 where you have, remember, the 1/2 inch on the right-hand side. So let's prep by burnishing. And we're going to have to adjust the scoring, believe me. We're going to have to do a reverse. You'll see. And again, you're going to want to cut out the 1/2 inch at the bottom that's on the same side as the score. So let's see if I can get her done. I did okay on the first one. Line it up, go slow. Okay, that actually worked out very well. So do that to both of those. All right, are you ready for the next part? All right, so with the right hand side, with the 1/2 inch on the right hand side, that we tuck under, that 1/2 inch on the right. The 1/2 inch at the bottom, we're gonna burnish to the top. And I'm gonna go ahead and miter that end, I forgot. Okay, so the one on the right is tucked under, the one at the bottom goes up. You're gonna bring that over and you're gonna glue it. Okay, so you're gonna place glue on the right-hand side. Hold up. Did I do that right? I think I did. Right hand. And then I'll put some glue on, yep, so right here and over here, just a little bit. Or do I want that open? Nope, I gotta close it. Okay, so glue down here. And you just want a thin line to the left of there. Bring it over, close it up, burnish it. Okay, so these are going to be the ones that get attached on the right-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and angle top. I keep forgetting to miter. Now, we want them to be angled pockets. So I went over and up 1.5, I believe. Did I go 1.5? I think so. So from the bottom, so the side that does not have the 1/2 inch, I want to measure up 1.5 inches and put a tick mark. Make sure you can see. 1.5 up from the bottom, tick mark. And then again, the right hand 1/2 inch is behind, tuck that under. I'm going to measure 1.5 over from that fold and put a tick mark. So then what you do is you place this in your cutting channel and you're going to slice from this tick mark to this tick mark right across the top. So I have one tick down here that's on the cutting edge, and now the other one. Slice. So that's what it looks like. If you can see your pencil mark, get rid of it. So you'll have two like that. Now we might have to do some adjusting. So let's go ahead and do the other one also. So that's an example how you do the right-hand side. Now let's do one that's on the left-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and miter where I forgot. All right, so we are going to put this back to the back, that 1/2 inch. Okay, we are going to cut off that bottom half that's on the same side as the score. So here I go again. So I'm basically lining this up. Let's see, where's the score? If it's 4 1/4, I need to line it up basically with the 3 3/4 inch line to make sure it gets cut off right. Nope, I can still see a ridge, so I need to cut that again because I don't want that ridge on there. So I'm going to try that again. Nope. Just a hair. Nope. Good, I got it off. So here we go for the left. 1/2 inch on the left. That's going to go to the back. This 1/2 inch at the bottom, we're going to burnish to the top. Burnish the center. Make sure it lines up. We are going to place glue on that 1/2 inch at the bottom and on the right-hand side. Oh. Bring it over. And burnish. Okay, with my 1/2 inch on the left-hand side, I'm going to measure over 1.5 inches and put a tick mark. And I'm also going to measure up on the right 1.5 inches. So top and the right side, and I'm going to slice that off. Erase your pencil marks. All right, so we are going to attach that. Let's get our book. On the left-hand side, get one of the pages. that we're going to be attaching. We have to attach this before we put pattern paper on here and our waterfall. But I just want to do a dry fit to make sure before I go to any work that I got it the right length. Okay, I did. Okay. So on top of this piece, hold on, I want to double check. Yep. Okay, on the top of this piece, you'll have 2 on the left. You put 1 at the very bottom, and you're going to place 1, I don't have the other one done, on top, and you should have a little bit of a space. So I am not going to, let me do the 2 bottom ones. Let's see. I just want to make sure we don't have to do any trimming. Okay, and then I'll have another one at the top. Okay, and then we're gonna do the next one near the top. So let's go ahead and glue the bottom right one on the bottom. I am gonna turn this sideways, and I wanna make sure it lines up left and the side toward me. Straight. Now when we do the other one, we want to make sure that they line up, one on top of the other, so that you don't want it cattywampus. You want to make sure that they line up here at the bottom, like so. Okay. Okay, once they're lined up, give it a burnish. Ooh, lots of extra glue on that one. All right, I need to put together another one of these real quick because I want to make sure that we don't have to do any trimming. Okay, my score's on the left. I'm going to put a tick mark at 1.5. And I want to turn it and measure 1.5 up. Slice. Slice and dice. Erase the score marks, or the tick marks. All right, so when we get our page, I want to take this pretty much almost all the way to the top. Yeah, I do want it all the way to the top, so that when you have some tags hanging out, you should have just a little bit of space in between the two, okay? So I'm going to put glue . I'm going to tuck down that top part, the score, and I'm going to take it to the top and to the side. And then when we do the one on this side, we have to make sure that it is lining up with that one. So I might as well do it because I want to make sure I get it. I want to put it on before I attach it to my book. And I take off this piece next to the score. I should have done them all at once. All right. That works. I'm getting better at that the more I do it. Bring this, I am going to miter this corner. I always forget. And I didn't miter this one. This one goes to the front. Okay, we're going to place glue on the bottom of on this 1/2 inch and on the side to close it off. Okay. Go ahead and make our tick marks. So we have the right hand side. So I need to go to 10.5, measure up 1.5. This one I don't have lined up as well. All right, get your page. We're going to glue it to the top, and then we want to make sure it lines up against this other piece that we've already attached. This one does not look as nice. Okay, I glued the other door flap on. So this is what kind of reminds me like a turkey, you know, with the legs. Anyway, so those are on, and now I'm going to take the other flap and I'm going to put glue on the 1/2 inch, and I'm going to glue it to the top here. And that's going to be the flap that goes on top. So I'm going to turn this upside down. I have the gusset tucked underneath. So this is the very top. I'm putting glue on the 1/2 inch. Okay. Darn it. There we go. All right, so the book is upside down. So the top is actually facing me. I'm going to place this at the very top in between those scores. It's not going to make as much difference because this flap's going on the top. So, okay. Burnish that. Okay, I'm going to put my flaps left, right. Now this is going to go on the top then. Okay, so that piece so when you lift it up, you'll see the angled pockets. When you lift it up again, that'll be the base of the book, and there's going to be that waterfall. Okay, so here's what you need to know. You cannot put the waterfall on until you have your pattern paper on, but you have to put this on first, okay? So the 1/2 inch is going to be glued. I'm turning this upside down. The 1/2 inch is going to be glued to the book. And just double check that you're not going off the page at all, or the book cover. So I'm going to go to the far right. Line up my pages. I can't see. I think that's going to work. Let's lift it up and burnish. Get rid of any excess glue. Okay, so flap, angled pockets, flap, you'll have angled pockets. Put your pattern paper on first. Pattern paper first. Then you put glue just on the 1 inch strip and center it. Okay. Again, pattern paper first. Then just put glue on the 1 inch strip, center it. And ta-da, there is your book. Okay, and then when you put your pattern paper on and decorate it, it's just gonna look so stinking cute. So you can look at the, the walkthrough that I did to see how I decorated it. If you wanna do it like I did, you don't have to. I did cut some graphic 45 tags. I have the tags, and then I just have the die to cut out some of the matting at the top. These I just cut out rectangles and then corner rounded. Okay, so there's that. All right, let me know if you have any questions.